Hey, Fitzee here, back at it again, another one. Look what I got. Arccaptain mig200 multi-process welder. This thing can MIG, flux, TIG, arc, and can also weld aluminum. Now, there's a lot of videos out there of guys using these, and I'm very impressed with the videos that I've seen. But I have yet to see anybody really get involved in welding, sheet metal with these welders. I always figured big, heavy process welder can weld heavy stuff. It's not going to be able to weld the light stuff. It's going to be too hot. Well, I'm going to put it through the test here. I have some 24 gauge rusty metal. I'm going to see if I can butt weld a couple of pieces of this together. Stick around. Before we get started, I'm going to let you know this has a lot of parameters to it. You can TIG and you can arc weld with it, and you can weld aluminum with it. I'm not set up for that. I don't consider myself qualified to do that type of work. So I'm going to leave it to the professional, okay? He has a very good video on this welder welding aluminum, arc welding, and welding heavy steel. And it's a very good video, so if you want to check it out, I'll have a link in the description below. Also, I have a link to Arccaptain, so if you want to check out the welders, they're online. You can see them. They're priced up. They're very reasonable price for welders of this quality, and I'm very impressed with it. So I'm just going to turn around and get started on the sheet metal aspect of it and see how I can do with sheet metal. So here's what I got. What you see me doing here now is that I've been contacted now a few times by different companies wanting to promote their product. And to me, I find that if I can't relate to it, or the people that watch my channel can't relate to it, I don't think that I want to try and promote it and see what it's all about. So, I've been contacted by a number of different people about different items and whatever. And I got contacted by this company, Arccaptain, okay? They wanted me to do go over their welder, use their welder, see what I think of their welder, and do a video on it. And that's what I'm doing here now. The thing with it is, these welders are a 4-in-1 welder. Okay, you can do flux core in it, you can do MIG, you can use TIG, and you can do spool gun, and you can also do arc. So MIG and flux is the same thing, but there's 4 of them, right? I don't use it, okay? I don't use TIG, I don't use arc, and I don't use spool guns, okay? All I use is MIG welding. That's all I've ever done, and that's what I'm used to using. And it's no good me using this here and trying to explain how to use all that gear. It's best for someone that is using it and is familiar with all that type of stuff to show you. What I'm interested in this machine is its MIG welding capabilities, okay? For doing sheet metal work only. That's all I'm interested in. A lot of these small welders are set up, you can turn around and blast through chassis and weld plate and all that type of stuff, but how good are they for using on sheet metal, doing body repairs, thin metal, all that type of stuff? So that's what I'm going to go over on this machine with you. So I got it, and it comes with a hose for the gas. Don't come with a regulator. You can run it 220 or 110. I'm only going to be using it 110, so I won't need that. Okay, I won't need that. It comes with, there's the ground cable. It's a pretty good little ground cable, right? It's not what you call thick or nothing, but the cable is nice, or the ground clamp itself is nice. This is pretty flimsy, but still, seems like a good quality. Of course, comes with the cleanup gun. Comes with and this here is for arc welding. I'm not going to get into that because it's something that I'm not very familiar with. I haven't done it in a very, very long time, okay? So you won't be using that, which is the actual gun itself. And it's pretty good, you know, got a nice feel to it and everything. And, you know, the ways all the connectors and everything on it seems pretty good. The gas connector and everything on it. They gave me a roll of 030 flux core wire. Now, you guys know I don't use that stuff. I got it there. That's it. They sent me that. Now, I never told them this is what I want it for, this is what I need, stuff like that. They just sent me one of their packages that comes with all this gear. Now, here's the problem, okay? It only comes with the smallest tip of 030. Now, they do have the 023 or the 6mm tips. They never sent me none. I've got up to 40. These are the tips, all the tips they sent me here, and there's no 023 6mm tips there to be had. Now I run into a problem. This is the tip, okay, and this is the tip of the gun to give me an extra one here. I went and screwed that into that, so I went over to my other welder, this is the tip out of my other welder, and tried the tips out of that. They won't screw into this. It's a different thread. I tried unscrewing the top of the gun from my Miller, and the bottom of that is even different. So that there, I cannot use none of that there. So I haven't got no 023 tips that I can use. So I'm going to have to go pick up some to try this. Now, it do come with a number of these wheels that I got to put inside the machine, the different ones. And the one that I need is there, which is 0.6V. Which one is it? There's a bunch of them there. 0.6V. My eyes are shot. This one here. That's the one I need right there. I need to put that one in it for the 6. And it seems like what I'm going to have to do is no good in me turn around trying to weld this and start using this with 030 because I don't use it, okay? 030 is a thicker wire. You can use it. A lot of guys use it. A lot of fellas use flux core. I use 023, okay? So what's going to happen here now is I'm going to have to go out and search down, see what I can match up to find 023 wire. So I can actually get this here all rigged up to run the 023 wire. Because a lot of the fellas that I've seen online that have done videos on this here concentrated on all the other stuff. And I can tell you, I was very impressed with what this little machine could do for what they were doing with it. They were using the TIG and the Arc, and they were using the spool gun and all that type of stuff. And it really, really works good. None of them really got into the basics of the smaller welders, of the smaller metals. And this is where I come in, and I want to see if this here machine can be turned down low enough and can weld thin metal. This is what I'm up against, okay? So I'm going to have to go out and search around and see if I can find some 023 wire. And then when I get some tips, I'll bring you guys back. So it's the next day. I run into Prince's Auto and picked up a 11-pound roll of 023 wire. And I picked up some simple, generic Power Fist 023 tips. They will fit the machine, okay? The Miller stuff don't fit that machine there. So, and it's kind of strange because this stuff will fit the Miller's machines, which I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to get this all set up here now, get the machine all rigged up, and we'll get it all going and give it a try. One of the features I like about this machine here is that, like with flux core wire and when you use gas, you got a versatility on your system, on the machine itself. This one here has a system set up here that I can just turn around and plug it in. If I was running flux core, I'd hook this on over here and put my negative cable here. In the case of this one here, I'm using gas, so I'm going to run this one over on this side here. And the ground cable is where? I got everything hung up here. This is the ground cable. It just goes in there, as simple as that. Very quick disconnect. Great for if you want to take it apart to store places. Same with this system here. It plugs in. My old Miller machine, all that's permanent on the machine. And of course, in order for me to do this, I got to take it apart inside and unscrew it and flip around a few wires, which was no big deal anyway. But this is a good little system because this just plugs in like so and screws on. Simple as that. Nice setup. I can say that much about it. The machine comes with a bunch of wheels. These are the drive wheels for the wires, and they're for different things, for aluminum, stainless, and flux core, and just regular steel wire. And it's quite interesting because it comes with two of the same one, which is the one was in the machine and then one came with the kit, right? So we need the 0.6 one of the wire, that one there, that's the one we need. So you got to turn that in. That's the small thin one there. That's the one we're going to use. Very simple setup to install. Just make sure you got the one pointed in, line it up on the key, and just screw it on. There's no tools involved in this. Some machines you got on bolt them and they Allen keys and take stuff apart, but that's the extent of the wheel there. So drive wheel's installed, and that will go down there, and we'll adjust that after. So next, now let's get the wire on. First little thing I found that I find is it hard. This here is the adjustment nut for the tension on the wheel. It looks to be about a 27 millimeter. And now I've worked on old cars all my life, and you know, I've never got into big sockets. Everything I had is, you know, 1 inch is as big as it's going to use, and this is over 1 inch in diameter, and I haven't got no sockets to fit it. So I never ever bothered with getting big sockets because I don't use them. So, like, you know, if you got big sockets, you're in luck, but someone like myself, well, I'm going to try to adjust it up by hand. It's just the tension on the wheel. It doesn't seem to be that hard to turn now, mind you. So you can adjust that way. All you got to do is your wheels usually got these little indentations in them, and you just, there's one on this here, and you just line that up with it. It goes on, and then just put the wheel on. Pretty simple. Get that out. I'm after doing a lot of research on it, watching other fellas' videos. There's some very good ones out there. Fellas that are a lot more knowledgeable than me about welders and all their settings and whatnot. So it's worth your while to have a look at that. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of videos on these Arccaptians 200s. So it's no trouble to find any information if you want to find it, right? So one of the features this got that's pretty cool is that you haven't got to hook up the gas or have the gas turned off when you're spooling it out. It'll actually recognize that you're spooling the wire up, and it'll pick up speed and turn the gas off, which is a cool feature. Now I haven't got the gas hooked up yet, but that's it. Let's get this plugged in now and get it all wired up. Right here you got the tension for the wheel that's adjustable. So you got to adjust that down so that it actually grabs it, see? See, the machine picks up speed. It recognizes that I'm just wiring it through. Get the wire ran through. 023 tip. I'm good to go. Usually all I do now is I'll just let that go, roll it back a bit. Not to waste wire. Now I'm going to have to play around with this here. If I find that it's starting to slip or anything like that, I can adjust this here. So again, this is not just something plug in and go. You may have to play around with a bit. Now this machine comes equipped with its own hose, but it doesn't come with a regulator. I have it already hooked up here. The fittings on this here, screws in the back of this, are the same as what's on my miller. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the line right from the back of the miller and screw it into the Arccaptain. Easy as that. So there's two settings on this machine for the MIG welder. Okay, one, you can see here I got it already set up where I'm using CO2, and I got the wire speed hooked up on this here from 0.6 wire, which is 023 wire. And I got two of these dials turned right down. These are the lowest settings that are on it. But you can also go over here and you click on this button again. Now I can actually change the both of them, okay? Set them up to whatever I want them to be. Or I can go back here and click on this one here. And then when I'm at the lowest setting here, when I change this setting here, it'll automatically adjust. This one here is your wire speed. That one there is your heat settings. That's my take on it, what I've researched, okay? Amperage and voltage and all this type of stuff. I just look at it from wire speed to voltage. But you can see this here, as you adjust this up, the other one will change. But over here, if you put it on this mode here, I can change this setting here, and this one here doesn't change. That's as simple as that. Fellas are out there to explain it a lot better than me. I'm a simple man, and I just look at things, what I see in front of me, okay? I'm going to start off by using this system here just to see what it does, and I'm going to put it at the lowest setting, which is right here. And I'm just going to start welding with it and just see what happens. Okay, before I get started on that, this is something else they also sent me. Auto darkening filtered helmet. Pretty cool. It's got lots of adjustments on it for darkness and for time delay and stuff like that on it. I'm not too familiar with a lot of that. I've used a lot of auto darkening helmets with adjustments and everything on them. But it's pretty neat. It looks like a really good quality machine, I can guarantee you that. It's nice and flexible is what I like about it. It's not a hard helmet. And there's lots of adjustability on the back end of it for adjusting your head. This is unusual. Usually this is all one piece. But this here is adjustable as well. And you got settings here you can adjust. And you got settings here you can adjust. And it comes with the instructions and all. So very cool piece to have. I just went and picked up some scrap steel I got there. I'm going to set this up now. I'm going to go ahead and experiment with this and play around with it, see what I come up with, and then I'll bring you back and see what I can explain to you what I'm doing. As you can see, I've been playing around here. Getting a lot of welding done. It's a good welder, okay? The biggest thing I'm trying to figure out here is the settings. It just seems like when it's extremely low, it won't weld, okay? Over here is a common thing. This here is the spot weld feature, okay? And this here works out really nice. It's consistent as you're going across. You can lay down, roll nickels if you want to. Over here, I've been experimenting with different things. And as you can see, all that looks the same, okay? Over here, I've been playing around with the two different modes, going from the regular mode into where the machine sets it up to you, into a mode where I'll do the adjustments myself. I found some interesting stuff out. Now the fan's a bit loud on this here, but you got like 14.8 and 7, and this is in the mode where the machine will actually choose it for you, and it'll set it up so when you change the dial, you can see the voltage changes along with the amperage, okay? I set this on 70 with 14.8 volts. When I change this over, so it's a manual setup, the voltage stays the same. This goes to 7.5, okay? Now, right here, I was finding the problem I'm having with this machine is that it is actually laying down the welds really high. What I've been doing here, because if you go back over in this mode here, it's 70 and 7. When you change this here, in order to get a higher voltage, you got to put a lot more amperage in it. And it doesn't seem to want to work properly. What I've been doing is I go back here to 70 again. Put it on 70 and I go over here. Now change that to 7.5. What I've been doing is doing this. I've been all the way up here to 17. I've been adding the voltage up there. And what it's doing, it's laying down the weld a lot more, okay? Still hot there. Turn over, so you can see how much penetration you're getting from that one weld, from them last two welds. And then over here you can see these here are the settings from the machine. And as you come across, as I add more voltage, it actually gets better penetration, okay? And that's all I've been doing, playing around with that. Also, I noticed that when I'm in this mode here, okay, this is the mode now that shows the wire speed and the machine is going to choose it for you. When I change this to 60, I changed that to 60. This is 14.3 volts. So when I go over to this mode here, it goes to 65 meters per second or millimeters or whatever that stands there. And this stays at 14.3. I was playing around with it, and it just seems like that every half interval is close to the same as this here. So it's almost the same going from one to the other. That's 60 with the amperage with 14 volts. Now, some of you guys that are welders out there will understand this way more and explain to me, Tony, you haven't got a clue what you're at. That's understandable. I don't have an understanding of all this type of stuff. To me, it's just a hands-on type of thing. I play with stuff. I get it to work. This machine here is a really good machine. I can tell you that now. Just trying to get it for use for auto body, it can be tricky because the problem I'm having over here in these early ones, these ones here, the welds are extremely high, okay? On these ones here, the welds are extremely high, and I'm trying to get rid of these so that I can lay it down, because this just makes more work for yourself, a lot of grinding and stuff like that. So in saying all this here, the biggest thing I can pass on to anybody, when you're starting out, use that mode there, okay? It comes up, gives you your wire, it's the MIG welder mode, and it gives your gas and all that type of stuff. And then when you turn the dial here, it'll get you in the ballpark. Once you get used to it and you like it, if you want to use a lot more heat, just say you go to 50 here, and you come over to this mode here, that'll take you to 53 or so, around there, but it'll give you the same voltage over here. All you got to do then is turn up your voltage, okay? To where you like to play around with your voltage, turn it up. That'll give you a hotter weld with the same wire speed, right? That's about what I can get from it. I'm probably wrong, I don't know. It's working. I've played around with it. I've even played around with this mode here. This one here got to do with your trigger and your gun. This first one here is just you pull the trigger, hold onto it, and it'll weld. This one here is just tap the trigger to start it, tap the trigger to end it. So you do that if you're doing a lot of welding, of course. And then this is the spot welding one. That's pretty cool because over here, I can actually put my seconds in there, and I got it in the setup at 1 second there now. And I can actually, this will actually shut off at 1 second, each spot weld. So that each spot weld is consistent going along. You can change all that and experiment with it. And like you can up your seconds, and you can lower your seconds down to a half a second, all that type of stuff. But it retains its the same motions that that you started off with. What the hell is this? There you go. More stuff there to try to figure out. That's the biggest problem I got with a lot of these new machines. There's just too much stuff going on. This poor old girl here, I got a couple of dials to deal with. Look, that's it. Turn a few dials, done. You know, it's great to have lots of adjustability and stuff like that. And the nice thing about this little machine is so much. I wants to get into the TIG welding and the arc welding with it, and even try to play around with the aluminum with it, because I've after seen some guys do some amazing work with this machine. But I want it for sheet metal, and most fellas that come to my page are doing sheet metal work. And so that's what I want to concentrate on, is this part of the machine. A lot of guys that are doing videos on these machines are welding a lot of heavy plate, and I could tell that I could weld plate. And the biggest issue that I had is I found that can it weld thin metal and, you know, be controlled and not warp it up too much and stuff like that. So I got to get into, I'm going to start using this machine now full time here. I got some work that I'm going to do, that I'm going to weld up, and I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll keep you posted on what this machine can do. If you got any questions, tips, or any of you welding guys want to point out some things that I'm saying or doing that I'm doing wrong, please do. Say it in the comment section below. I am not a certified welder. I'm a bodyman by trade, and I do this as a trade, and the only thing I've used for the last 30 years are just simple MIG welders, okay? Okay, here working on a project right now, and I got this metal that I've been doing a lot of welding on. As you can see, it's rusty metal, but I got the top side here cleaned off. This here is 24 gauge metal, okay? A lot of earlier new metals and stuff like that. If you look at that there, it's 24 gauge, okay? This is the stuff that you're going to have troubles welding. This is the stuff I haven't seen anybody welding yet. So I'm going to do a test pass now and see what this is like for welding without burning through it and welding to it. This here is very, very hard to weld to. I'm going to start off with this setting that I used to weld the 18 gauge metal with. And by the way, that was the metal I've been welding on. All that stuff I was welding was 18 gauge. So I'm going to start here and then start turning it down and see what I come up with. I should be blowing holes in it here. Well now, let's try butt welding something to it. I'm going to butt weld it to what I do a lot of is 18 gauge to this. So I'm going to try to butt weld a piece of this 18 gauge to this here. You can see it's starting to blow holes there, don't you? So all I'm going to do is I drop it down to 150 on the voltage. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, I'll be damned. See over here, you can see how hot it got, and it was blowing holes in it. See the holes blowing in. I came over here then, I turned it down, and you can see me that I was welding it. And it seemed to work out pretty good. I'm very pleased with that. I'm liking this. I think I might have myself a new welder to use. This is the setting I got it on, 15 and 6. If you go over to the original one, it's about 5, 5, and 14. See, it changes it up totally. This here voltage changes. Now I don't know if that your setting will do it, but I prefer the one that I had, the 6.0 with the 15. I'll experiment with it. I always like having more heat because it lays the weld down in sheet metal than wire speed. Usually it's concerned about having too much heat, but if you pulse weld on everything you do, you can control your heat better, and you're just laying it down because you're going to be grinding it all anyway. The hardest part is you're running beads. You're going to blow holes in it with this here, right? So, and that's the whole point of doing the pulse weld on thin metal. So I'm starting to wonder if I'm laying it on the bench, if it's giving it some more heat. But what I'm going to do here now is I have a little platform set up here now to float it in there. And I got 2 pieces of this 24 gauge. As you can see, same stuff, rusty on the ends, and I got it cleaned up. And I'm going to try to butt weld that across there. Butt weld 2 of them pieces together. I ran a bead here, just curious to see. Now you'd slow that a lot worse than that. I am amazed. Good penetration too, look. Wow. I'm very, very impressed with this, okay? This is 24 gauge metal, butt welding, and I'm turning around and doing it. Now right here I blew through it because what I was experimenting with was I started to run a bead there just to see what would happen, okay? Now I do all my pulse welding, you can see like this here. I'd say the little spot welder, the timer on that would work pretty good for that too. But that's how I've always welded. And you can see I'm getting good penetration. So there's only one more I'm going to try now on this 24 gauge. Now you would never do it this way. Look how much that warped, look. But that's the given because I just kept welding it. Just wasn't let it cool and everything, right? One more thing I'm going to wonder about now is that I had perfect gaps there, closed right up. I'm going to cut off 2 more pieces now, and I'm going to gap them a bit, and I'm going to try to weld them in. So here you have a nice gap, okay? That's usually why you end up when you're doing butt welding. Now this is 24 gauge rusty metal, okay? Let's see if she can do this. have another hole here that I burned in. I have to turn it down now to 140, sorry, 14 volts. I have another hole here now. See how hard it is for me to fill that up. Look at that. Wow. I am impressed. Good penetration too. I am impressed. So this is the setting that I'm on now, 14 and 6. So when you change this back over here, it goes 55 and 14. I'm going to weld with that there now and see what it looks like. Much the same. Very pleasing. Welds up good. There's no real issues. Right? I'm quite amazed with this because this is like about the thinnest you're ever going to weld when it comes to anything automotive. A lot of modern cars are the same way. They're probably worse again because I think some of them are gone up 26 gauge now. But for anything like old, the fellas are patching up, fixing up, and trying to find a welder. One of the biggest problems I've always had with these multi-process welders, is I always thought they might be too hot to weld thin metal. But for some reason, I can dial that in and I can weld thin metal. This welds thin metal better than my Miller does, okay? Then that's saying something. So it's budget-minded welder, a lot cheaper. You got a lot more options with this here because I can also take an arc weld and all that with this one. All I can do with this one here is flux core and MIG itself, right? So it's bang for the buck. It's a good little welder, especially for doing this thin metal. You can see how nice that's welding there. This is 24 gauge, this is 18 gauge, and it's welding both of it. Fantastic. These are my settings. I like having the voltage a lot higher than my wire speed. I'm pretty sure that's what that is to me anyway. And if you go back over here and you leave that at 5, which is 52, this goes down to 13. But if you up it a small bit, go to 5, goes to 14, see? But I like having this here, the voltage a little bit higher. So when I goes to, it lowers this a little bit more, 5, and then ups this to 16. Now you welding guys will know exactly what I'm doing here, because I sure don't. But that's it. That's the setting that I like. Those are the numbers that I like. What they are, I don't know. But I like a lot of heat in this stuff here to get it to penetrate. I want to get it to weld. Like I find with less heat in it, it got a tendency to stand up on you, and you get a higher weld with less penetration. The more heat you add into it, it got a tendency to go in deeper. And I use the pulsation mode when I do it, like in terms of just by hand, use a trigger. This machine does have it on it, okay, right here. But I don't use it. I have no real use for it. This is all I've ever done when it comes to welding. I've always pulse welded. If you're not used to it, you could probably use that system and set it up there to give yourself so many seconds. I just know off by heart what I'd like for it to be, right? So, I'm very, very pleased with this welder. What you see here is work that I've done. This is 24 gauge metal. This is 18 gauge metal, and I made this panel, all this panel on the bottom side here, and I welded it right on in through here. And I'm very pleased with how that welder works out. I'm going to be using it now full time for my welder at the shop. I'm going to put my other one aside for a while, then I'm going to use the Arccaptin. I'm going to set this all up here. I'm going to use this here now for a while, and then maybe in a month or two, I'll come back and talk about it again. But, you know, I'm very pleased with it. I was amazed that I could do what I could do. I find I'm liking the way this is welding the metals better than my old welder, okay? So, you know, I was hesitant about a welder that was capable of doing a lot of heavy welding to be able to weld as nice as this on thinner metals, but I'm very pleased with it. So, anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. I hope the tips were good, and until next time.